Five, four, three, two. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Steelers Depot live stream here for Monday, September 19th. As always, I am Alex Kozora. Joining me, as always, as well, is Dave Bryan here to answer your questions for the next hour, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, as Pittsburgh sits 1-1 on the season. So our first live stream since the regular season began. Lot to talk about, lot to discuss. Dave, how you doing?
Happy Monday night. Doubleheader on my TV tonight.
Who's playing first? I have no idea what the schedule even is tonight.
Titans and the Bills.
Okay, gotcha. And then it's what, Minnesota
and Philly.
Philly. Okay, Minnesota, Philly. Gotcha,
Should be
gotcha.
A good couple of games, I think.
I think so. I hope so. All right, chat. As usual, just want to do the general audio check here. If you guys can hear me, if you guys can hear Dave without any issue, no robot noises, any glitches, anything like that, if you could let us know that, and then we'll jump right into the question. And so I want to make sure that's good because I don't want to start answering questions before we know the audio is clear. But it looks like we are good. Thank you, Mutated Genome and Reptar and Matt. So as always, some people may be new, but for those who have been here before and those who are new, Dave and I here to answer your questions. You can put those in the chat for the next hour. We may get a lot of questions. There may be a lot of people in the chat tonight. It's kind of shaping up to look that way. So if you want to send us a super chat, that'll guarantee your question will get asked almost immediately, and guaranteed it'll be answered during the time that we're live here. So I just want to put that out there. No obligation, of course, to send us a super chat, but that is one thing that you guys can do. So let's get to our first question, and it comes from our friend Mutated Genome, who says, "Hello, Alex and Dave. During the post-game show, Charlie Batts said that audibles cannot be called in Canada's offense. Have you ever heard of such a ridiculous concept that did not involve a rookie?" Dave, we discussed this a little bit during the podcast today. I don't know exactly where Batch is sourcing that information from. I will just say two things. One, I've seen Trubisky call at least one audible this year that happened in the Bengals game week 1, and I know that because Kevin Dotson did not get the audible and pulled on a pass play, which was a fun moment to watch on tape. But two, I would say that I think Canada's offense is pretty rigid and structured, and because he comes from the college football world of coaching 20-year-old quarterbacks, generally he wants guys to play inside structure, and that I think has been limiting to this offense. But what's your takeaway, Dave?
Yeah, I think you pretty much said it. We discussed this. I think a couple of people had sent emails on this and all. I did not hear it, personally, but I don't doubt what the people are saying when it comes to that. But and as you stated, you know of at least one audible that he called in the Bengals game there. So look, the best way to probably get to the bottom of this is maybe a member of the media. I think when does Canada talk? When did I send the schedule out there? It's either I think it's tomorrow maybe when he.
Well,
when
I
he
know
talks,
there's no media availability Wednesday, so I guess it has to be tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it is tomorrow. Is going to be Canada and Austin there. So that would be, let's see here, Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday is when Canada and Austin speak. So maybe enough of this will circulate around and he'll be asked about it, and maybe Mitch will be asked about it next time he meets the media, which I would assume would be possibly tomorrow as well.
I mean, my guess is that they'll say yes, he has the ability to. I guess the better question they probably wouldn't answer is exactly how much freedom do you have? Is it audible just in these situations? How much autonomy does the quarterback really have? And I don't think it's as much as probably a veteran quarterback like Trubisky would like to have.
Might not.
But we really don't know these things for sure. I did pick up on, and maybe you picked up on it too, it felt like they just ran the same 5 plays. I mean, especially in the pass game. There were so many pass game concepts where they just went back to the same thing, and that's not always a bad thing. I think about the play action wheel route to George Pickens. They went back to that later in the game. I think what they thought was, I'll do a video on this for the channel tomorrow for you guys, is the first play they ran it, they hit Freiermuth in the flat, which is what they're always, their first read is. It's a low-high read. Then they saw Pickens open on the wheel, and they tried to go back to that to try to get Pickens on the wheel. New England adjusted, took it away. The second time actually resulted in a sack, I believe. So there was a lot of just like going back to the well with this offense.
Right. Did they disguise formation on that second one?
Did the Patriots or did the Steelers?
Steelers.
No, same thing.
Same thing. See
Yep.
that if you're going to try to go back to something, I'll have to look and see if I can find. You have to send me the timestamp on
Sure.
that. But you know how it is. I mean, if you're going to make adjustments and try to go back out of something, at least mix up maybe your personnel grouping a little bit or your formation, and try to do it out something that doesn't look so familiar.
Right.
Were they
So
at least going a different direction, or
no,
were they going?
same thing. Copy paste.
Oh
Right side.
no!
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'll send you the links. You'll see it.
Right.
But those are the things where I'll have the video tomorrow because I'm still kind of assessing my overall thoughts here on this offense. But I saw a lot of that kind of stuff, and that's one example that comes to mind.
Right.
Next question comes from our friend Mike Adesso, who was happy we did a live stream tonight, and we're glad to be here. Says, so is this where the line starts to complain about Canada and Trubisky? Just kidding. Steelers win that game if Sutton holds onto the ball or Gunner doesn't fumble. Yeah, the line definitely starts now. I don't know if they win that game. They might, but if
Still
Gunner fields that one,
football.
yeah, the offense was still crap. So, I mean, who the heck knows? And the Patriots may respond. I mean, obviously your changes improve, clearly, but who the heck knows?
I mean, like we said this morning, you had 112 net yards on 22 offensive plays, and you final two possessions. You went 7 plays, 9 plays. 9 plays was of course the touchdown drive, and then after that, it did absolutely nothing for the remainder of the fourth quarter there.
Right. And I think Dante made a comment about the Pickens play saying, correct, and that's the point of Mitch hits Pickens the first time. We don't have to go back. Fair and valid, but again, I think the structure, what they're asking Trubisky to do is work low to high. Every time they work that boot, it's always low to high. They never go to a secondary read unless that flat's taken away. And Frymouth got open. It was 2nd and 4. Again, it goes back to my thought. This team's just saying, make the easy play, take a profit, move the sticks, stay on schedule. And they did have to change the way that Trubisky kind of rolled. He didn't really roll. It was like a half roll and set up more to have a better base to try to throw. Because that wheel, the play I'm talking about, the first one, right? That's a tough throw to make with Trubisky kind of off platform. Could he make it? Sure. But I understand. I'm not really mad at him for hitting Frymouth there.
Yeah, look, but that deep defensive back on that side has his back to Pickens. So, I mean, you can all arm it out there, And
yeah.
we've seen Trubisky try to arm things already a couple times this year. There are several instances in the first 2 games alone where he's got some poor mechanics. Where he's not setting his feet, and he is trying. There was at least 1 or 2 outs in that game yesterday where it was all arm. I think Claypool was one of them. I think Deontay Johnson was what was another one of them.
Yeah, I think he could have made the throw, but it would have been tougher than I think some people think. And again, what is being called? What is the direction? What is the progression of the play? And it's always, always, always low high. Some teams read high low, but Pittsburgh and under Canada reads low high. So I'm not faulting Trubisky for making the decision that he made. Most people will on that specific play. I do not.
Okay.
Next question comes from Bryan Harrington. Why would Canada make such silly rules? I'm not entirely sure what that's referencing. He says, what's his angle? It only serves to limit our offense, so what's he up to, I wonder? Bryan, I appreciate the question. I don't really understand the question. He's up to trying to do what he thinks is best. That's not always the best thing to do, but that's what he's doing. He's running his offense, essentially. Zachary Prospa, if a player mutiny is starting to form as the shade we kind of heard may insinuate, how far into this would you let it go before making the change from Canada? I would give it to the bye. I mean, that's a lot of variables that are tough for us to try to figure out, but
you got to remember too. Now, look, there might be some unsettledness in there, but the media's job is to make a story out of anything on top of it. So it might be glorified a little bit. However, if you want to boil it down just to what Trubisky said in post game and kind of, we got to hear all of that, obviously, and him saying, you got to call concepts to the. I don't know if that was just, in order. How much of that was a shot at Canada? How much was it just trying to truthfully answer the question?
Sure.
You got to run concepts to the middle of the field.
Right.
And then on top of it, I think the most damning thing that came out of maybe Trubisky's mouth in that post game was, we got to continue to buy in, in there. So, what's the need to say to put that out there that we need to continue to buy in if, maybe you don't think everybody's buying in. You see what I'm getting at there? Is there such a mutiny as what's being painted out there? I mean, obviously we don't know. I think a lot of the players, or at least Cole and some of these other guys, said the right things in the locker room videos that have surfaced today. Is it a full out mutiny two games into the season? I kind of doubt it.
No, I don't think it's that. I think maybe there's. I sense a lot of frustration, and that's natural when the offense struggles and you lose a game, and that's tough. But even more so, atypical from a standard quote unquote loss where your offense doesn't play well. Some of the comments certainly grabbed my attention. And does that mean you win on Thursday? Everything's forgiven. Everyone's happy. Everyone's having a good time. So we'll see. But I think what Claypool said, I think what Freiermuth said, what other reporters are kind of insinuating is certainly at least getting my attention.
Right. But for everybody trying to wish cast this thing into a quarterback change, I still think you're going to be waiting till after the bye week, And as far as Canada being fired, I mean, when's the last time the Steelers have fired a coordinator mid-season? And even if they were to move on from Canada, you're not going outside the organization. That's going to be essentially going to be Mike Sullivan more than likely to take over the play calling duties at that point.
When was the last time they fired a coordinator mid-season?
I don't remember.
Ray Sherman lasted 1 year, I think, right? That was a pretty quick hook, but that was not mid-season, I don't believe.
Right. I'll have to look at that.
I know Al Everest was fired right before the season began many, many years ago, but that's not I wouldn't call that a mid-season, I guess a preseason firing, but I don't know what coordinator. I think Canada will be the OC the rest of the year, although at this point, and again, we're very early, we'll see what happens. I'm not loving his odds of returning next year. That's just my opinion.
Who, Canada?
Canada, yes.
Oh, no, this is going to be it.
You think, okay, you're going to say that more definitively?
Oh, yeah, this is going to be it for him.
All right, I'll be that definitive with you there. Jonathan Mason, I'm sure we'll see Pickett at some point, but how much better can this offense be with a different quarterback? Looks largely the same in Canada's third year. Maybe it isn't the quarterback after all. Well, it's second year OC, third year with the team, but I get your point there overall. I mean, how much better can it be? We'll see. Again, for me with Trubisky, and this will be in the video tomorrow, I'm less concerned about taking shots deep and all the stuff that's kind of getting headlines now. I'm more worried about him taking bad sacks, missing underneath receivers, took a terrible sack on 3rd and 4, in the red zone, had Claypool open on and out, should have hit it, tucked the ball, took a sack. You can't make those plays. Those are rookie plays. And so that's to me the bigger concern than, oh my God, he's not throwing the ball 50 yards downfield.
Even on that, went back, me, I'll watch this thing 20 times.
I know.
And pick out something new each time because I process it a little bit different than the rest of you guys do. But, even on that first one to Freiermuth over there on the side at glance, that was it wasn't a great throw. It was all off of Freiermuth's hands there. That ball's got to come out earlier,
Okay.
If you look, that ball, look at the end line, match up the end zone view with that, with the press spot, the all 22 view of it there. If he gets that ball out quicker, that throws there. It's a lot easier throw, but he continues to roll and that little extra half second allows that I think it was the linebacker covering him there on that, or I forget, was it a slot? No, I think it was a linebacker. Anyway, and it threw off the whole timing of that thing, and the throw was just out of Freiermuth's reach there. But I think if you go back and look at that play alone, that should be an easy pitch and catch in that situation because Freiermuth coming out of his break, he's ready for that ball.
Wait, you're talking about the rollout to the right on that first third down? Is that what you said? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a decently thrown ball, but you think it should have been earlier?
I thought it should be earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he gets that ball out a tick earlier, I think he can put it on the money there.
I have somewhere in my notes. I'm trying to see what I wrote down on that play if I can find it. He did you talk about throwing downfield. They were running a mesh concept there, and it felt like he had Deontay short if he wanted it, but he actually made the more aggressive play to go to Freiermuth. But yeah, I think that throw, I had the decision was aggressive. Like people are getting on him for not being aggressive enough. I think maybe in that situation, he might have been too aggressive, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But I think it's a fair point that you're making there. Ross Swisher, hard to be consistent with Trubisky. Is your quarterback playing scared and taking checkdowns all day when Pickens and Claypool are wide open down the field? Dave, are you seeing moments where these guys are wide open and Trubisky's missing it? What's your evaluation of the
No, look, I
vertical
mean,
stuff?
were there instances where he could have made a couple of throws, but last night there were several media guys, I guess up in the box saying, "Oh, he missed some wide open receivers down the field." And look, they played a lot of single high safety in this thing, either part of cover one or cover three, and they made sure to try to keep the lid on this thing as much as possible. There are probably three or four throws that he probably should have let it rip on there, but there's not a lot of running wide open deep down the field. Consider the source, people.
Yeah, there's a lot of context, and you can, of course, criticize quarterbacks for not, making a particular throw, but there's a lot of context and progressions, and again, I think this offense is pretty rigidly structured, and so that has to be taken into consideration there. There are times where you can argue it, and that's fine, but again, to me, that is lower on my list of concerns of Trubisky. I think he's doing a lot more. He's doing a lot more bad that's not being discussed. Like, everyone's so hyper-focused on just that one component, the vertical game, or even middle of the field type stuff. To me, there's like 4 other issues ahead of that on my list of concerns right now with his performance.
Now, were there? Now, I'm not absolving him here on. There were about 3 or 4 throws that I think he probably could have made, but it's not like every wide receivers were running deep down the field, wide open. As much as being painted by the media.
Mike's,
and some YouTube scouts.
Right. So the video tomorrow hopefully can shed some more light on what I'm thinking, at least. Mike Adesso also asking that the offense is looking better with Warren than Naji. Should Warren be the first and second down back and Naji the third down back? What is your take on Naji and potentially missing some holes?
There was a couple of instances in there. There are also a couple of instances where you got to remember that the defensive linemen are doing their job to kind of flash inside the gap, and Naji pressing it to try to get them to commit to a gap and all. I mean, I think the very first play that Trey Essex even pointed out first thing this morning, I think that's a clear example of Naji not committing to a blocked up play in that instance there. And as I said on the podcast, I think he looked a lot. He looked 9 times healthier than what I thought he would look in this game. Is it enough that you should be talking about Jaylen Warren playing first and second down? No, I don't think so. And people immediately, because I jump back on my motto of don't draft running backs are fungible and all like that, thinking it's some sort of shot at Naji. No, it's not. It's just I think the running back is a fungible position overall, but I mean he's going to continue to be, as long as he's healthy, he's going to continue to be. I do like the fact that they are mixing in Warren, because I think that's given Naji proper rest off the field. I don't think they're suffering. Having Warren in the game overall, I thought Warren did a great job of hitting a couple holes hard and getting good positive successful play yardage on a couple of those runs as well too. But I don't think it's enough that any discussion should be had of should Warren have a larger role in this offense than what he has right now.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you, Dave. I still have full confidence in Naji. He's missed some time with the foot injury. There might be some rust, and there certainly are some mistakes being made. I think that first play being the best example of him bouncing a run when he definitely shouldn't have. But I got confidence he'll get right, and I still think he didn't play a terrible game. He made some really good plays, broke tackles, had that great check down where he stiff arms a guy and hurdles a defender. So he still made plays. I'm still rolling with Naji. I'm not looking to really change the rotation as it sits today.
Yeah, there are people already trying to say Trent Richardson.
Yeah, come on, guys. It's not that bad. Douglas Mossman, hey, guys, looking at the tape, how often is Pickens open where Mitch is just not seeing him? I didn't see that a lot, but it is certainly frustrating that through 2 games, this guy that starred so much in camp has 6 targets, 2 receptions, one of those targets being a Hail Mary, by the way, so really 5 targets in my view. I mean, you got to create some more for George Pickens, I think.
Right. Well, and even if you want to do something simple like some RPO bubble screens or something, get the ball in his hands. Let him do something out in open space. A couple slants or something like that. Not every ball needs to be 20 yards down the field to him.
Right. But I think there's got to be some jump balls for this guy. Like what this guy did the best this summer was 50-50 contested football situations, and he has not gotten any of those. He got the 1-2-man vertical shot yesterday, but no, just a fade and throw it up to him. Let him make a play.
Run some of those slot fades with him. Do whatever you have to do to get him singled up in coverage and give him, you got to give him an opportunity to make a play. I mean, not everything is going to come wide open,
right?
And he's on this,
and he's at his best contested, so let him win contested. So I think that's to me, it's not that he's always wide open, but it's just they're not really scheming a lot. He just feels like this literal third piece in this passing game, and they're not getting any attention.
And look, that wheel was a golden opportunity to bust him down the field, on that wheel rail,
Yeah.
So I think that could have been easily hit.
Yeah, I think it could have been hit, but to me, the question is, what is the progression? What is the read? And the read is always low-high. And if the flat is open, I know they're told to take the flat. And I think that, if you want to put that on anything, that's coaching more than it is Trubisky, to me. That's how I look at it.
All right.
Ross Swisher, will Miles Killebrew be released if Boykin keeps playing like he has? Awesome game from him as the gunner. No, Killebrew serves a different role than what Boykin does. There's room for both, obviously. So they're unrelated, but Boykin has done a nice job.
Yes.
Let's see if I can find one here. Ryan Reagan, more of a comment, but I'll read it anyway. The reason you start Pickett is because of his confidence in his receivers making plays. Trubisky doesn't have that, and it has shown. You think Trubisky's lacking confidence in his guys?
No, I don't think he lacks confidence. I just think there's a disconnect in his play. I think some of his reads are late. You showed a perfect example on Twitter of that out route. He's got to pull the trigger. He's got to be a lot more decisive and know what he's looking at across from him and what's likely to be there and turn it loose.
I know none of us here can answer the question, but I can't figure out why he passed up on Claypool there. That's one of the primary reads. It's open. It's third down. It's at the sticks. Why does he not make that throw? I cannot answer that.
And he went back to it.
They did, yeah, and he hit it, but that's like a rookie thing. Like you miss it the first time, we'll come back and get it the second time. That's not a clear veteran who's supposed to be this guy that's kind of seen and done it all. At Gator with a run-deficient O-line, how come we can't make favorable matchups and set Naji lined up wide to get the ball outside against smaller defenders and Jalen Warren in the backfield? That's a pretty specific question, App Gator. I mean, they split Naji out, a fair amount. They haven't run any ponies, so no two running backs like that. But the run blocking has not been bad. I don't think you have to abandon the whole identity of this run game.
No, I don't think so either. Obviously, you're not seeing any power or anything like that, pulling guards or anything like that right now. But there were a couple instances where I thought it was blocked up. Look, the offensive line right now is kind of all of a sudden become the least of the worries right now. It's way down. Is it perfect? No, but I thought overall, top to bottom, run blocking and pass protection, it was good enough to win, I thought.
Yeah, how about just everything being turned on its head from a literal month ago? From the O-line is trash, that's the biggest concern, to the O-line, it's doing all right. So what a difference a month can make. Let's see if I find my place again as we get through the first 20 minutes.
Why can't they run the crack toss and some of the pin and pull? Patriots ran some of that pin and pull late, and pin and pull used to be kind of a staple of what the Steelers did offensively.
Absolutely, yeah. That's not something they were showing some tosses this summer, and they've run a couple this year, but it's not been nearly as effective, obviously. Daniel says, do you see them firing Canada during the season, promoting from within for the season? Nope, don't see that happening, Daniel. Albert says, who's to blame? Tomlin, Canada, Mitch for the offensive struggles. It's everything. When it's this bad, and it's pretty bad right now. So the video tomorrow will kind of try to break down, what do you blame Canada for? What do you blame Trubisky for? What can be better? It's hard to just say blame Canada or blame Mitch or blame whoever and just put one face to it, because rarely is it ever that case.
I mean, look, and you see how many times in the first two games have we seen receivers in the same place,
Yeah.
or you know Watt and Claypool, almost running into each other on the mesh, and then in the Yankee route you have Claypool and Deontay almost crashing into each other in the middle of the field. You have one instance in that game deep down the right side. That ended up being Pickens and Claypool, both on
Okay.
top of each other.
What happened? Did they just were they near each other pre-snap, or like take me through
Somebody
that?
just ran about wrong route, is what it is.
Okay. Did they talk after the play? I haven't watched that play through. I don't think yet.
Yeah, I don't remember them. The camera, I think, went off of it.
Okay.
I have to go back double check.
$5 super chat, our first of the day from Hip Hop Culture. Thank you so much. Says, why did Matt Canada get the job over an experienced OC Alex? I don't have the answers to that. It wasn't my decision, obviously. I think there was the goal being some level of continuity with Canada being promoted in Ben's assumed final year. They didn't want to have to bring an outsider in and change total systems and schemes and a totally brand new face to this offense. So, right or wrong, I think that was one reason behind that was let's just make the quarterback's coach the OC to keep that level of continuity.
And who's most likely to be I think we both agree that, this is probably it for Canada this year. Is it going to be Sullivan next?
Did they interview outside OCs? Remember they interviewed Pep Hamilton?
Sure.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think about the process. I mean, could it be Sullivan? Certainly. I think Sullivan's a good coach. I think he's done a good job. So it could be him. It could be an outsider. I mean, what do you think at some point maybe they say maybe we should try an outside hire because the internal
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I mean, what would the instant odds be right out of the chute if Canada's not back?
I think Sullivan would be maybe the slight favorite, but I really couldn't tell you. Do you think it'd be Sullivan?
Yeah, I mean that's where I think the odds would lean.
Okay, yeah, I mean certainly it would make sense, but it's so you would take. Let me ask you a different way. Would it be Sullivan or the field? What would be the favorite to be the OC?
I would bet Sullivan.
Okay, I'm with you. Let's see. Next question comes from LMAO Sosa. Do you see Kenny playing this season? If so, when? I think he will, but I think it'll be later in the year. My preseason prediction essentially was that Pickett will start the final 3 games of the year, and that's kind of still where I'm sitting at, to be honest with you.
Mine's right after the bye, man. Cue up that Saints game. I have a feeling that might be your bet, and I have felt that for quite a while now. So he will play. He's going to play at some point. My best bet would be the Saints game.
So you think it'd be TJ Watt and Kenny Pickett coming out of the tunnel same time? Is that right? Because that's like the expected return date for Watt, roughly, right?
Man, well, I think that's who knows really. I mean, we know he's got to miss at least 4 games, and he's missed 1. So
that's week 11, right? Not like the week after the bye. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, it could be. I think, but to me, as long as this team remains competitive and Trubisky's not terrible, I know people will argue he's terrible. To me, he's not right now. Like Tomlin's going to keep Trubisky as the starter. He's not going to make a change if this team is a game above 500 and in the mix.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm betting that they're not going to be in the mix. Is what I'm betting.
Okay, I got you. And the Bills just scored.
They're going to have to start moving football down the field in chunks, man, because it just no matter how much improvement with the line and how much better do you expect Trubisky to get? This team is not built to drive the field 13, 14 plays at a time. If they don't start getting chunks, and then they're going to be having a lot of 17 and 20 points on the board, and how many times is that not going to be enough?
Can I put you on the spot really quick?
All right.
What do you think the record is at the bye?
Oh, at the bye, I bet they only win 2 more games before the bye.
Okay, so you're saying, what's the math? That's a week 9 bye.
2 or 3 more games by the bye. Let's see.
So what would that record be? That's a week 10? What's the bye? 9 or 10?
The bye is week 9.
It's 9. Okay. So that would be basically 3 and
look, the Dolphins
6.
don't look like they're such a pushover, do they?
No. Tua looks great.
I mean, you got the Bills, the Buccaneers, and the Dolphins, and the Eagles, and we'll see what the Eagles look like tonight. And obviously the Browns. I mean, if you don't win this game against even the Jets, are able to do a couple of things with Flacco. Flacco's going to be kind of semi-familiar with. It's not going to be too big of a moment for him.
Yeah, Flacco went off. He had about 4 touchdowns in that game, so he turned back the clock for sure. Stand up 42003. Good evening, gentlemen. At what point do the Steelers look at their athletic ability at the receiver position and attempt to utilize it? It feels like Mitch Canada thinks our weapons are all 5'10". Yeah, I think there should be some more jump ball opportunities. I think that's a fair. I think it's a more minor issue, but I'm with you on that one.
Sure. I mean, what was Claypool known for coming out of college? Contested catches. Yep. What is Pickens known for? Any kind of catches, really, with him. You look at Deontay, he's got, remains one of the best separators in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Naji Harris, do you think the pressure of Pickett, hometown kid, is getting to Mitch? It feels and looks like he's playing not to lose his job. I don't think that's the reason. I think he's playing conservatively, but I think that's based on the structure of what they're telling him to do. Basically, the idea being, hey, guys, our offense, it's not going to be great this year. And these are kind of paraphrasing, obviously, but not great this year. Defense is going to be our strength. Let's keep scores down. Let's not make the mistakes. Let's allow special teams to win field position, make plays there. Got a great kicker. And I think that's why they're playing so conservative, because they don't want to do anything that loses them the game. Right or wrong, I think that's the approach.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Next question comes from, why is the hurry-up offense so effective compared to regular offense? This happened last year, too. That's from Numal. I mean, I think that's pretty common for most teams. When you go tempo, when teams can't sub and guys get tired and play on their heels and communication stressed and things like that, hurry-up typically tends to be more advantageous. So I don't think that's really unique to Pittsburgh. I think that's just how most teams are able to operate. Yeah,
you got to pick your spots, too.
Yeah.
Right. You're not going to be able to do that for 7 possessions a game.
Exactly. Bruce Myers, is Mitch too afraid to ad-lib? He had plenty of open receivers he could have thrown to that weren't the primary target. I think it goes back to Canada really just saying, like, take a profit, first reads there, hit it, play within structure, play within the progression. I'm speculating a little bit, but I have a really strong feeling that's what's happening.
And he's not an overly an extend to play type of guy anyway.
But wasn't he? It felt like he was more like that in Chicago than what he's doing right now.
I mean, he did make some plays that way, and more than he has right now. He's taking sacks when he's extended.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. I mean, he's a good athlete, but I think that, like, no one's talking about how many bad sacks he's taken. I think like what they've allowed 4 sacks this year.
3 of them have been
3 of
bad.
them on Trubisky. Yeah, 3 of them on him. So like that's been a really underrated issue. Let's see. Next question comes from, trying to find a question. Let me just scroll on through. Chad wants Pickett to start after the Browns game. What do you guys think of Ben's podcast so far? It's a lot of them. It's been a lot of podcasts from Ben. It's fine, but it's not something I'm really pining to wait for the next episode to come out.
No, I would like to. I would like to hear him talk more football, obviously, instead of drinking beer and wine.
Yeah, Ben likes to just ramble a little bit too, which kind of meanders a little bit in his answers. But I do like watching Ben watch football games and him just make the guttural noises of, oh, like, that's great. Like, I just love that gets interspersed into a podcast.
I think he definitely misses it. For sure, misses the game.
Right, but I mean, he didn't watch the opener live. He said he was on the golf course that day. So I don't know. I'm sure it's a weird feeling for him. Who do you think is better, Kenny or Mitch? Because I feel like Trubisky is only starting because he is a vet and not because he's better. I mean, we'll have to see what Pickett looks like if and when he gets a chance to play. So it's hard to evaluate that, Ryan. But I think, in my opinion, Pickett should have been the week 1 starter. I said that before the year. So I thought Pickett was ready.
He'll play. Hold tight.
Yeah. Let's see here if I can find some more questions. 132 people in the chat, so appreciate you guys turning out tonight. If I can find some questions. A lot of comments here. And then you guys can send a super chat if you want to move to the front of the line. Let's see. Mike Adesso says, hot take, Devin Bush and the O-line have all played fine. D-line has been below average. What are your thoughts on the Steelers' D-line, Dave?
I think that not having TJ Watt in there makes a whole heck of a lot of difference for starters. I think overall the defensive line has played well. I think in that last on that last drive, they obviously got manhandled, wore down. I don't know how much did 100 snaps in the previous game play a role, take its toll late in that game. I don't know, but I think for the most part, the defensive line has played fine. Look, I mean, you hold a team to 17 points, and you expect around the NFL to win a lot of games when you do that. And obviously, one of those touchdowns came on a sudden change on the punt, on the punt muff there. So I'm not disturbed about what I'm seeing from the defensive line so far. But I'll tell you this: I mean, it not having TJ Watt in there is a Captain Obvious statement that means that whole entire front has to step it up a notch.
Right. It certainly changes the complexion of things. I think it's a deep group. They've had a pretty good rotation going. They ran a lot of that 3-3-5 because they have 6 defensive linemen and guys that can wear different hats and are good athletes and running the football and are probably better than the lack of edge depth this team has right now. So I think they've done reasonably well. But a guy like Cam Hayward's going to have to step up and listen. I think Cam Hayward's a great defensive lineman, but Cole Strange really had his number yesterday.
And that was one of my 5 keys. What's going to happen? With TJ Watt out, you expect for a second week in a row with Cam Hayward going up against a rookie left guard, that advantage to the veteran there. But Cole Strange played, I thought, an amazing game overall in there. And for the most, well, look, I mean, there were 3 quarterback hits in the game overall. I think Highsmith had one. Who else had one in that game? Did Cam have one in that game?
No, he didn't. I think, did Highsmith have just 1 or 2?
I think Highsmith was credited with 1.
Maybe had 1. I know Highsmith had on the interception, so that was a quarterback hit.
Let's see here. Quarterback hits. Reed had 1, Highsmith had 1, and Alu had 1.
When did Tyson have 1? That might have been, I think, actually, he got kind of like pushed and had a low shot around the ankles of Jones, I want to say. I think that's the one that they're talking about there. Read a couple of comments. I'm not seeing a question immediately. Zach says, we need to get the ball to our playmakers in general. Deontay has shown he can make the hardest catches. Yeah, Deontay's made some unbelievable catches just 2 weeks into the year. The 2-point conversion this week, the 41-yarder last week, which still, to me, is one of the best catches I've ever seen, to be honest. So, Deontay, that guy's got to be so frustrated with how he's being used like a tight end, like a running back right now, and he can be so much more than that.
And about the same time last year, I said, do they need to go more heavier RPOs? Count the box and go.
Haven't seen a lot of RPOs this year. I don't think the first 2 weeks.
Maybe you need to simplify things in there, and obviously, have your shot plays and all like that. You try to hit, but how many quick wide receiver screens have we seen?
Yeah, not many. If you guys could like this video, Dave and I would appreciate that to bring some more people into the chat, have more people get some visibility to the channel, and Dave and I's live stream would appreciate that. George Hoover, not optimistic with this Thursday's game, saying, we will lose this Thursday at Cleveland. Mitch will play terrible and cost the game. Pickett gets the nod at home against the Jets. Pickett plays his home state team. He is from New Jersey. That he is, George, so that is his prediction. Mike Adesso, can we talk about Trubisky constantly throwing off his back foot when not necessary? His footwork is awful. How is that possible with this many years playing in the NFL? Now Sully needs to coach that up. Yeah, it was some of those sideline throws. I mean, they got there, but they were weirdly off his back foot.
All arm, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Justin says, we have reasons to be optimistic, though, right? O-line is improving. Defense will get Watt back, and either Trubisky improves or Pickett comes in. We are a muff punt drop pick away from winning. Again, if either of those things happen, do you win? Maybe, but who knows? I don't want to be all doom and gloom. It seems 1-1. If they win on Thursday and beat the Browns, like, we're all happy again talking about, hey, we're 2-1, we're first place in the North, we're 2-0 against the AFC North. So talk to me after Thursday to get a read on things.
Yeah, that's going to be the litmus test, and obviously the Browns team. How many? They scored what 30 points this past week? What did they score in week one?
26.
26 against the
Yeah,
Panthers.
58-yarder to win it. So, I mean, their offense is... Jacoby was efficient yesterday, and they ran the ball really well.
Mm-hmm. And that yeah, you want to talk about a test for a run run defense. You're going to get it with Hunt
Mm-hmm.
and Chubb and in so many words. That's what Mike Thomas. If there's anything to kind of look at in this game is a couple of the injuries that the Browns have on their defensive side of football. Not having Jadeveon Clowney and one of the backups, Winovich, is going to miss the game, and I think they got a tackle. Didn't Conklin was inactive for this last week,
Mm-hmm.
and I think on the estimated injury report that came out this afternoon, he was limited there. But I mean, even so, we know how good that Browns running game is, and at wide receiver, I mean, it's Amari Cooper, who's really not doing too many different things than what they used to run with. And Mike Tomlin hit on this today. What OBJ and
You say
who's
Landry?
did he say Landry or was it maybe Jarvis Landry, is who he said. So and you got to look out for Jacoby to take off with the football too,
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you play the Browns, the way it's been for a couple of years, and probably a couple of years more, is stop the run. They've got a good offensive line. They've had some injuries, but it's still a couple of really good guards in Batonio and Wyatt Teller especially. Chubb had 3 touchdowns last week. I mean, they're going to be a zone team. You got to be really strong with your run fits and rally, and backside pursuit's going to be important. So we'll see who starts at right tackle for them. I wish TJ Watt was in this game because he torched James Hudson the last time he saw him. And Hudson was a rookie last year. I liked him coming out of Cincinnati. They put him in a bad spot last year, but there'll be matchups to win for sure, but it all starts with stopping the run.
Look, the recipe, what we've talked about all offseason is going to be the recipe. You're going to have a couple of defensive takeaways in some games. Your special teams have got to be on the screws like that, and you're going to have to find a way to have 1 and 2 explosive plays a game on offense is just not going to cut it. Unless your defense is doing what happened in the week 1 game there. So if they can keep the score down against the Browns and, obviously shut down the run, comes with part of that, it could very well end up being another one possession, one score game.
Mm-hmm. That's typically how AFC North football goes. And last year, both games were, the second game, I guess, wasn't one possession because Naji iced it late, but they're always close against the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. ABS, Dave and Alex, regardless of the draft spot, Trubisky wasn't developed as a quarterback while in Chicago. The environment didn't allow for that. Unfortunately, we have had Ben, and that isn't our specialty either. So I guess the question he's asking is this the right environment for Trubisky to succeed? What do you think about that, Dave?
I mean, I think he is who he is, and he attempted 9 passes last season with the Bills, 8 or 9 passes overall. There's a reason he was in that situation, So, and there's a reason. Remember the reports that his market value was going to be 20 something that I got a chuckle out of. People say, oh, he's going to be command 20 million a season. Look, if people in a quarterback driven league, if people think they can get a steal at the quarterback position, they're going to pay a lot more than what the Steelers paid for Mitch Trubisky there. I just think he is who he is.
I agree with that. I didn't expect Trubisky to become the next Ryan Tannehill and totally change his stripes, finding a new place. I think it's a culture and an organization where you can succeed. The stability, the veteran tutelage of Mike Tomlin, I think it's certainly more stable, and it's somewhat like what he had in Buffalo. So I don't want to say that you can't develop a quarterback, and hey, Pickett's looked really good, so that's a quarterback developing and growing, and there's a little bit of proof of that. But I think, as you said, Trubisky kind of is who he was, and maybe he was in a bad situation in Chicago. I think he was. Maybe he just wasn't that great of a quarterback either. I think both things can be true.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. FMOB Leela says, should we run a 3-safety defense as our primary? Not really. I mean, they run a lot of 3-3-5, so that was their nickel defense. I don't know if they have quite the safety manpower right now to run a 3-safety defense as their base. Let's see. Next question comes from, I think Mark Tobin had one. Let me scroll back up if I can find it. Why do you guys think they ran Haley up out of there? It wasn't because of their offense, because we scored hella points. So why did Todd Haley go? Trying to think back. I mean, he was a hothead, and I don't know. I don't know exactly how to respond to that.
They run all of them out of town.
Yeah. I mean, remember, I thought Haley worked fairly well as an OC. He's done better than what Fietner did and what Canada's done so far. But Haley also had Prime Ben, AB, and Bell, and he had probably more talent, more established talent than what, good offensive line than what this team's working with right now.
Oh yeah, look, the talent that he dealt with was a lot greater than what it is, combined right now for sure. So especially on the offensive line, and I mean you had Le'Veon Bell kind of in his prime in there, and AB, Ben was still extending some plays and able to do some things like that and all.
Like there's talent right now, but then you had Hall of Fame quarterback, Hall of Fame on the field receiver, and in his prime, Hall of Fame running back with a really good offensive line and other weapons as well. It just doesn't compare to what you have right now. Next question comes from, how will the fans react if and when Pickett plays if he doesn't play well? That is a great question. Not well, they won't react well, but
no,
it'll be just bus talk and chants for Mason, or I don't know what it would be, but nothing good, Bruce.
Look, and he's regardless of the level that he plays, there's going to be growing pains in this. And as I always like to say, I don't think you get a good idea of what a quarterback can and can't do until he gets into game 20, 25, something like that as far as starts go, because you might have these guys come in and flash right off the bat, but what happens after the tape circulates on him and what he's good at, and defensive coordinators start trying to maximize, go after what a quarterback's weak at. So if he comes in and plays great right out of the chute, fantastic. If he comes out of the chute and plays mediocre, fantastic. If he comes out of the chute and plays bad, fantastic. Because I just don't think that you get a good idea until a quarterback has a well over a season worth of starts underneath him, unless it's just downright miserable from the start.
Right.
We've obviously seen that with first round picks over the years and those kind of things there. But the kid's got accuracy and seems to be smart, and I think just in the preseason alone, and I didn't see a lick of training camp like you did. What I was most impressed with Pickett in just those 3 preseason games is that you saw improvement in all, from preseason snap number 1 to the last snap that he took there.
It's the exact same thing I saw in training camp. It's what you saw in stadium is kind of how training camp went. So I think you're right on the money there. And that's one of many reasons why I want to Pickett to start game 1. So you can start finding out exactly who you have in this guy. The quicker you start finding that out, the quicker you can start really charting the course that is your franchise and its future. And the longer you delay, obviously the longer you have to wait to find out exactly who and what you have. Have a $2 super chat that I think I missed earlier, so I apologize to OMG Reptar. Love the icon there as a big Rugrats fan growing up. Do you feel that Tomlin is a bad head coach? No, I do not feel Tomlin is a bad head coach. Does he have flaws and warts and critiques? Sure, he's not above reproach. Nobody is. But is he a bad head coach? No. I think people will certainly push back on that here in the comments in a moment, given the situation right now. Is it very frustrating about this team's lack of postseason success and the big drought they're in right now? Absolutely. But does that mean Tomlin is a bad head coach? No. Next question will come from, I just lost my place there, Stand Up 42003. Alex and Dave, at what point do you see the defense start to quit? The offense has been dreadful since 2019. Do you think there's a breaking point? No, they're not going to quit. They're too proud, and that's their job, regardless of how good or bad the offense is. They may get frustrated, but quitting does no one good. No one gets paid if you quit, so they're going to keep playing hard. Next question comes from, if I can find one, Eduardo with some very nice comments about the site, so thank you for that. Says, what's Tommy Maddox up to lately? I'm guessing selling insurance. Is he back in the insurance game, maybe?
I don't know what touchdown Tommy's doing.
Mike Adesso, Alex, building off your terrible take today, what should Austin Tomlin do to generate a consistent rush, blitz cornerbacks and inside linebackers more? It's a good question. Obviously, trying to replicate the success you have with TJ Watt is tough, and there are pros and cons to blitzing, and how do you cover? How does it change your structure? And you got one-on-one matchups, but you got to get pressure. This whole defense is built around pressure. If that doesn't happen, nothing else really works well. So I don't have a great answer in terms of how you do that, but more than what they're doing right now, have to be more creative, probably blitz more, create more, safe four-man pressures, but you got to do more.
And what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to start playing some more cover 3 behind it, then go back to later day Dick LeBeau type stuff and just not letting the lid off of it and tackle the catch. If you send numbers, you better get home with them.
Yep, absolutely. So that's a downside, but if you don't send numbers, these good quarterbacks, you're going to face some good quarterbacks this year. They're going to pick you off.
TJ Watt ought to win defensive MVP just just because of the games that he's missed,
Right. And it's good. It's good he's coming back, but it's still going to be a long time till he comes back, and who knows where this team is at when that time comes. Let's see.
And look, Highsmith's doing a good job over there on the other side, but it's you can really magnify what Alex Highsmith does well when you have TJ Watt on the other side.
Wow, Terrell Edmonds had a higher PFF grade than Minka. It's interesting. Okay, fair enough.
He hadn't played bad at all this year, Edmonds. Every year of his career, he'll never live up to the first round draft pick, but I've thought every year of his career he's gotten. I mean, it's been baby steps, but I think he's gotten better.
He actually did have, I think, 2 really solid coverage reps. There was a third down breakup, and then he covered a corner route, I believe, earlier in the game that he had good coverage on. So, I mean, you're right. He has gotten better year by year. His conditioning, his durability, his availability is super underrated, super outstanding. If he was immortal in 10 years, he'd be the best safety in football on the path he's on right now. If he could just play 10 years prime of his career, if he could wave a magic wand, he'd be a pretty good safety. But, he is who he is, but that's not always a bad thing. Let's see if I just lost my place again. About 10 minutes left, so be sure to get your questions in for Dave and myself. Let's see where I was at. The question is from Mark Brophy. Here's a question. How many men were on the field on the muff punt? I heard Tomlin say there were 10. I counted 9. I have not officially gone back and counted yet. Not enough is the answer. Not all 11 guys. So they were missing at least 1, potentially 2.
I haven't pulled the all 22 special teams.
So it was definitely at least 1 jammer and maybe somebody else. I don't know exactly who that was. I have to go through to see who would have been the jammers there. So I don't have a perfect answer for you, Mark, but not 11. And that's kind of all that matters. Why is Harris missing big holes? Starting to question his vision. It is 1 game. I think there were some bad mistakes, but I don't want to start questioning about him as a player and his vision based off of, 2 carries, 3 carries over his full body of work? I don't want to do that. Is Jalen outplaying Naji? That's from MR Mark 693. No, I wouldn't say that. Mark Tobin, Cam Hayward can't play like Superman forever. Someone has to step up. I'm not mad at Cam at all. He's had to do a one-man army thing for a minute. He really has. That's got to be frustrating for him. And you're right. Other guys have to step up. It cannot just be Cam Hayward doing it all.
Mm-hmm. They're really going to have to step up on Thursday night once again because of that run, and they're going to be tested out. Whoever they put out there on the edges as well too.
Paul HL, I rewatched the game and feel like it was many small misses that kept us from succeeding rather than few big individual issues. How do you see it? How do you think it'll be fixed over time? Thanks. Thank you, Paul.
There's a lot of little bit of ugly all throughout that. I mean, obviously quarterback play is going to get circled and highlighted, but there was a lot of little ugly in there. And once again, for an offense that's going to continue to find its way, if you're not able to break off the chunks, a little holding call, false start, things like that all it takes is one missed assignment on the offensive line, a penalty for ineligible man down the field, just little things like that. So a lot of having 2 wide receivers in the same space down the field is essentially taking one player off the field. that way. I mean, there was a little bit ugly in this game.
Right, and that's generally what it is. Small mistakes that add up over time, the kill drives. But I do think there were the two big egregious issues that we all know and Tomlin spoke about, the muff punt and then the Most play that Nelson Aguilar made over Kelly Witherspoon. Those were two defining plays of a very close game. If you put those two plays aside for a moment, this game was pretty even, very close overall, a lot of back and forth, kind of a slog, duke it out kind of game. But those two plays swung in the Patriots' favor heavily. And to me, that was one of the key differences. Those actual big plays.
And the dropped interception. Does the muff happen, after that as well, too. So, yeah. I mean, and you hate to boil, a game down to 2 or 3 plays every week. But a lot of times in one possession games like that, you can.
There were a lot of people, and it's surprising me a little bit, saying the Patriots would have won if Olszewski didn't muff that punt. The same people that say this offense is bad say they would have won. Yeah, that offense still had to score, so I'm not super confident Pittsburgh would have won that game. Who knows? Maybe it's a coin flip, really, to me.
Right. At least the defense is not having, to defend such a short field in that situation.
But why do they have 3 corners on the field on that touchdown? That kind of really put New England in control of that one. No idea what the personnel decision was there. I think there were a lot of coaching issues. I'm going to write about that for the morning for Steelers Depot, focusing
maybe
on the
one of the several beat writers that listen to this and deny that they listen to this will ask Austin about that.
Yeah, please ask. And if you're listening, please ask about the Minka interception play, because I still can't get over how good of a play that was. I don't care that they lost. I was like, I got to write about that one for the morning. That was such a good call. A coffee house stunt, the playoff, what they did last year. They out-schemed Belichick, and that is hard to do, and they did it beautifully on that play. Time for a couple more questions. If I can find a couple more questions, I guess. Let's see if I scroll down through. And again, thank you guys for being here tonight. Looks like the Bills and Titans are tied at 7 late in the first quarter.
They lost Taylor Lewan, too.
Oh, did it look bad?
It's a knee injury. Yeah.
He's had a lot of those. When does Terrell Austin come back? That's from the ABSC. I'm not sure what that means. He's here. He's on staff. He's the defensive coordinator. So he's around. Let's see. Buzzbomb, a $2 super chat. I might have missed that as well, so appreciate that. I do see a text after that says, did the Steelers learn more from Sunday's loss than from the win in week 1? I don't know how to best answer that. I don't really think about. I think you learn from every single game, whether you win or lose, so I don't know how to really best evaluate that. There's probably been more conclusions drawn from Sunday than week 1, just because Sunday's game was a bit more normal and not insane and trying to process all of which happened. So maybe the learning more from Sunday's loss, but I think you'll learn from every single circumstance.
I think maybe other teams learned a little bit, because you're going to see them have middle of the field safety and be fine with those little dump offs. They'll dare Mitch Trubisky to try to fling it deep down the field.
Couple more questions. Thomas Warhawk says, with all the challenges in broadcast teams this offseason, how did you enjoy Amazon on Thursday, and do you have a favorite broadcast team? What did you think about the first try into the streaming world, Amazon, Thursday night?
Yeah, I thought it was okay overall. I mean, I was real more intrigued with the StatsCast and all like that, and really not listening so much to the announcers, as I was just enjoying the StatCast element of it and all. And as far as favorite, I love Tony. I think Tony Romo does a great job. I really do. And I think his enthusiasm and everything that goes along with that, I think Tony Romo does a great job.
And if it's Romo on the call, it's a big game. If it's Jim Nantz and Romo, there's a big game they're calling. I love Ian Eagle. I think he's got a great voice and great feel for the game. So he's one of my personal favorite announcers. Been doing it for a long, long time. Paul HL, why do you think Edmonds is not worth his draft pick? He's a starter since 18, like you said, getting better. He's never played up to the billing of being a first-round pick. There's a weight and expectation to that in Pittsburgh. If he was a third-round guy, people would have loved him. So he just never made the splash big plays that first-round picks really have to make. Let's see, Mr. ABS, Dave Alex, I hate New England, but we have to admit that they were still a top defense, and nothing should have been a surprise. They were top 3-5 last year, and by the logic referenced earlier, held us to 14. Sure, New England has a good, underrated defense, and they're a stout front overall, well coached. So you want to give those guys credit too.
Yeah, but they did miss. They did drop off some players throughout that game, though. Some key players too.
Right, Duggar, Bentley missed some time, and that's when Pittsburgh started running the ball. I think at their most effective in that game. John Pennington, are you guys worried about Norwood tackling against the Browns? His tackling's improved. The arc's similar to Cam Sutton. It's not the best, but I'm not that worried about it.
Yeah, look, it's going to start up front with that against that running game. If we're sitting here having to worry about these guys in the secondary making a lot of tackles, then it's probably been a long game.
All right, let's see if I can find any more questions. I think that's just about it. If I can just see a comment that catches my eye or not. I'm not seeing much here, so I think that's going to wrap up today's stream. Appreciate you guys being here. You guys had great support here. I know it's not always fun talking about a loss and those kinds of things, but hopefully next time we talk, it'll be, 2 or 3 games gone by, and hopefully this team's sitting a little prettier. But we'll be here to cover it. Be sure to check out Steelers Depot for a lot more analysis and press conferences and player reaction, film rooms, etc., etc. So, Dave, as always, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you for being the one to have to scan for those comments. You do a great job moving this along. Peace and love, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. And as Alex says, like and subscribe.
And you guys can see an archive version of this on the site in just a little bit. So go on over to SteelersDepot.com. And again, thank you guys for being here, and we'll talk to you soon.